The Mini 4K is currently the most affordable DJI model for videography and photography. One of the most important features missing compared to the more expensive models is Hyperlapse. In this video I will show you how to manually make time-lapses and hyperlapses with this model. Since the Mini 4K is a rebranded version of the very popular Mini 2, the same technique can be used with both of them. First of all, we must choose the length of the short movie. I aim for about 12 seconds, which is obtained by shooting 300 photos when using a frame rate of 24 frames per second. As 300 images divided by 24 per second equals 12.5 seconds. Then we must choose the interval in seconds between each image. When taking 300 photos, it is easy to compute the length of the shooting, as 300 shots can be taken in 5 minutes, at an interval of 1 second, since 300 seconds divided by 60 seconds per minute equals 5 minutes. So, at an interval of 2 seconds, it will take 10 minutes, at 3 seconds 15 minutes, and so on. This interval between photos determines the speed of the element in motion, as shown by these examples. When the movement in the scene is mostly made by people walking, cars or other vehicles, the best results are obtained with an interval of 1 shot every 3 seconds. The shooting process will take 15 minutes, which is well within the capabilities of the battery. When the movement is mostly from clouds, an interval of 4 or 5 seconds is a better choice. In transition from day to night, an even longer interval is preferable. When shooting time-lapse with a drone, the main constraint is battery life. With the Mini 4K and Mini 2, the shooting should take less than 20 minutes to ensure that we have enough time to set up the shots and return home. For extra safety, I would remain below 18 minutes. When the movement comes mainly from clouds, we should select a 4-second interval and a slightly lower number of photos, maybe 250, for a shorter movie. All other current DJI models have a hyperlapse functionality with 4 modes: free, circle, course lock and waypoints. After choosing the number of photos and the interval between each shot, all sorts of moves are possible. At the end, the software produces a short movie. This feature is unavailable with the Mini 4K and the Mini 2, so we must do the whole process manually. Using the timed shot functionality in the photo menu, we can shoot successive photos at a chosen interval until we press the shutter button again to end the process. We cannot select the number of images, so we must keep an eye on the indicator of the amount of photos available on the disk in the lower part of the screen to know how many we have taken. With these 2 models, it is possible to choose between JPEG or JPEG plus RAW as the photo format. I normally use RAW for slightly better results. However, when using time shot with RAW images with these drones, the minimal interval between photos is 5 seconds, as the program needs more time for buffering each photo. With JPEG files, we can choose an interval of 2 or 3 seconds, which is what we need. Another advantage is that the post-processing process will be simpler. Let's start with the simplest option, the time-lapse. In a time-lapse, the point of view, which is the drone camera, doesn't move. In other words, the aircraft hovers in a static position while taking the photos. This technique produces interesting results when the scene already contains elements in motion, or for transition from day to night, or from night to day. The most important concept for good quality time-lapses and hyperlapses is motion blur. During a time-lapse, the elements in motion move very fast. At such a high speed, in real life, our eyes will not perceive the sharp detail of the moving elements. They will rather appear quite blurry. To replicate the same visual effect, we must set the correct shutter speed for the proper amount of motion blur, as you can see from these examples. The correct amount of motion blur is obtained by using a shutter speed with a value of half the interval between the photos. A shutter speed of 1 second for an interval of 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds for 3 seconds, 2 seconds for 4 seconds, and so on. It is easy to use the required shutter speed when using a ground-based camera on a sturdy tripod, but a drone hovering will slightly drift even in low wind, so very long shutter speeds cannot be used. We can compromise slightly and always choose a shutter speed of half a second to obtain more than acceptable results. If we use such a long shutter speed on most light conditions, the resulting image will be way overexposed. This is why a set of ND filter is mandatory for time-lapses and hyperlapses. With the correct filter, we can use a shutter speed of half second in all light conditions. You will find a link to the ND filter to use with the Mini 4K and Mini 2 in the description of this video. Let's get into action. I positioned the drone at a relatively high elevation to frame this village, keeping the sky out of sight, thus reducing the dynamic range. The main movement will come from cars, so I choose an interval of 3 seconds. We are right after sunset, so there will be a mix of natural and artificial lights, which is often very interesting. I have put on a very light ND filter to apply the correct shutter speed of half a second. If possible, I select the minimum ISO value of 100, but if needed, it can be increased to 200 or 400 without a major loss of quality. In the photo video menu, I choose Timed Shots. I then select a 3-second interval. I write down the number of photos available on the disk at the bottom of the screen. I can now hit the shutter to start the shooting process. When that number shows that I have taken at least 300 photos, I hit the shutter again to stop the process. When choosing hyperlapse mode with other models of the current DJI line, the program creates a short movie at the end of the photo shoots. With the Mini 4K and Mini 2 we must do it manually, but the process is simple. We need a video editing program. Here I'm using Premiere Pro, but it works similarly on most other editors. In Premiere Pro I select Import and navigate to the folder containing all the photos for the time-lapse. I choose the first image and tick the box Image Sequence at the bottom left of the window. Once the sequence is imported, I can drag it to the timeline. The time-lapse plays at the correct speed and we can edit it by using the window Lumetric Color. If the aircraft drifts too much, we can apply Warp Stabilizer to reduce the unwanted movement. For better results, I start by color grading the images using Luminar Neo, my favorite photo editing program. I then batch export and import them to Premiere Pro as shown above. You will find a link to Luminar Neo with a discount coupon code in the description of this video. You can watch my video about Luminar Neo using the link on the screen. With the Mini 4K and Mini 2 we don't have all the powerful tools of hyperlapse mode to handle all the drone's movement. However, with some care we can apply some simple movements to add more interest to our short movie. The simplest option is to advance slowly during the photo shoot. We want the forward move to be very slow and consistent. Before starting our hyperlapse, we select Scene in the speed selector of the remote controller. During the shooting, we push the right stick very slightly forward, trying to maintain a constant speed of about 0.2 meters per second. It is a bit tricky at first, but it gets easier with some practice. We can also try some simple variation, like pushing the right stick of the controller diagonally to get an advanced move while sliding to the right, still trying to get a slow and consistent speed. Or we can add an elevation change with the left stick of the controller during the move. Click on this link to watch my video about photography with the Mini 4K. And don't forget to hit the like button if you found this video interesting. Thank you.